Details are an integral part of any architectural documentation package. One of the challenges in working with building information modeling in Revit is there is a temptation to over-model. In other words, it is theoretically possible to add items like flashing or fasteners or many of the other small items directly to your model. However, typically such items would only need to show in large-scale details. Therefore, resist the temptation to model such elements. Keep your models at a scale of about 1/8 to 1/4 inch detail. There's little payoff in modeling items beyond that, and you often pay a price in diminished computer performance. For such items, we will continue to rely on detailed drawings, which have always been part of architectural communication. Revit offers a full complement of tools to facilitate detailed drawings and does so in a way that maximizes the potential of both the live 3D model and the large-scale detail embellishments. So let's get started in this movie by doing the first step in the process, which is creating a callout view from your model. So I'm in a file called Detail Callout, and I'm looking at a section cut through the stair. And what I want to do is enlarge a portion of the stair and begin detailing that area. So I can do that by going to the View tab and clicking on the Callout tool. Now you can do a callout from a plan view, section view, or an elevation view. So Revit allows you to do it from any kind of orthographic view. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag a small rectangle around the area that I want to enlarge. So the callout will appear. Usually you'll see a view appear here on the project browser called callout of section at stair. So it's usually a pretty good idea to rename that, and I'll call this stair landing detail. Now let's go ahead and double click the bubble here, which will bring us into that detail, have us take a look. And you'll see a couple things. The detail is cropped down to just the area that we surrounded. If I pause my mouse over that crop region, that rectangle there, you can see it highlight. The solid part in the middle is the model crop that actually crops the actual model geometry. And then there's that dashed boundary on the outside. That's actually called the annotation crop. We'll look at both of those. I'm going to make a few adjustments. The first adjustment I'd like to do is I'm going to zoom in slightly with my wheel, and I'm going to fine-tune the cropping of this detail just a little bit. So I'm going to crop out a little bit more right there. I'll drag this down here just a touch. This one I'm going to cut off the right side of the stair like so, and then here I'm going to just crop it down just a little tighter. Now I should point out that if we were to return to section at stair, all those modifications affect the crop there as well. This is a live interaction, just like everything else you'd expect in Revit. So let's go back to our stair detail here. Now, the next thing I want to do is down here on the view control bar, 1/4 inch is not quite large enough. This is supposed to be a detail after all. I'm going to increase the scale to 1.5 inches equals a foot. So that will make that adjustment. And that affected the annotation crop as well. Now let's talk about the annotation crop. Just exactly what is that? So I'm going to go to the Annotate tab. I'm going to add a little piece of text here. And I will write a note. And then click somewhere else and click Modify. Now I've got this note and I've selected it, and let's talk about the annotation crop region. If I drag the note, you see how at some point it will disappear? See it right there? So let's pull it over here. The annotation crop is actually designed to crop out annotation, where the model crop, the inner one, is designed to crop out model. That can be useful in certain kinds of views, like overall floor plans where you're integrating a match line or something like that, but it doesn't really help us very much here. Now, I certainly could increase the size of the crop and get the note to display again. You see how as soon as it touches the note, it'll disappear. But in this case, I don't see the annotation crop as really giving this drawing any benefit. So I'm going to deselect the crop. And over here on the Properties palette, it says Section and then the name of the view, Stair Landing. So I'm going to scroll down. That tells me I'm looking at the properties of the view. And here under the Extents category, I have an annotation crop setting, and I'm going to uncheck that box to remove the annotation crop. And now when I come over here and I highlight, you'll see that only the model crop highlights. The annotation crop is no longer a factor. And so now the text can go wherever it would like to go, and it's not impacted by the cropping. Let me deselect the text, and let's talk about one other setting here that I want to fine tune. If you notice here, there's a setting called Far Clip Settings, and it says Same as Parent View. In the background, in this detail, you can see I can highlight things like these mullions here. I'm seeing the curtain wall beyond. So not only can we crop a view left and right, but we can actually crop the depth of the view as well. Now, if you leave it set to Same as Parent, that means that this callout is going to inherit the settings of the stair section that it came from. But I can change that right here and make it independent, and then that makes this number available, and I can type in any value I like. So in this case, I'm going to try a number of about 6 feet, and I'll click Apply, and you see how that removes that curtain wall in the background, which was a little distracting and takes some of the focus away from where we want this detail to focus. So that's how you create a callout view from any of your other views. The same exact steps that we used here could be used for a plan view, could be used for an elevation view. And this is really the first step of creating what I like to call a hybrid detail in Revit architecture. You cut a view from your model, you get it kind of configured the way you want. That gives us the underlying geometry upon which we can start. And then in the coming movies, we'll learn how we can add two-dimensional detail embellishments on top of that to flesh out and complete the detail.